only considering yourself, your emotions, your wants, and your needs, I guarantee you, every relationship you have will suffer in some way. What type of household did your significant other grow up in? Now, that perspective is 100% necessary. Hi, I'm Simone, and this is the Happily Self-Conscious podcast, the show where it's cool to be self-conscious. As a personal development enthusiast, I love to learn how I can become better in all areas of life, and I want to share with you transformative tips and tricks to help you also become your best self. Together, we'll learn how we can become more self-conscious. Let's do it. Hi! Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. This is the first official episode of the Happily Self-Conscious podcast where it's cool to be self-conscious. Welcome. I am so happy you're here and so grateful that you are choosing to spend this time with me. So flattered. Being that this is the very first episode and that this podcast will be all about becoming a better you, a better me in every aspect of life, I thought it would be a great idea to kick it off with a more foundational episode, really touching on the reasons why I feel that personal development is so important for all of us. But before I get into it, I want to say a few things. With this podcast, my hope is that I can provide you with new tools, new tips, new insights, and that this podcast will maybe remind you about things that you may already know so that you're always progressing and becoming better in every area of your life, because it's so important to be evolving constantly. And I know that personally because I have definitely experienced feelings of stagnation and unfulfillment, and I truly believe that those feelings come up when you're stagnant, when your days look the same, when you're doing things and acting in ways that don't align with who you are right now or who you truly want to be in the future. You're out of alignment in some ways. In those moments, you may not be aware of why you feel stagnant, but it may just be that you haven't learned anything new in a while and are possibly caught up in old patterns. And I mean, it happens to all of us, trust me. If you are new to personal development, you are in the right place. I hope that this podcast can open your mind to new habits, behaviors, and life changes, big or small. You may be here because you are interested in growing. You may be here because you so graciously stumbled across this podcast, or you may be here because you know me in real life and are like, Tyler started a podcast. What is she talking about now? I mean, either way, you must know that once you dip your toe into personal development, there is nowhere to go but up. Word on the street is to know better is to do better. And that's really the goal here. Personal development is a journey that never ends. You will always be learning new lessons and growing as a person. And if you look at life as if it's a gigantic classroom, your life journey will be so much more fun. I want to be clear that a lot of what I'll be speaking about here in this space are things I've learned and things I'm still learning, knowledge that I've acquired from books, philosophers, scientists, industry leaders, etc. Yes, I am definitely more than happy to share some of my life experiences with you because I feel like that, for one, allows us to connect. But I also want you to know that I'm on this journey too. That's why I'm here. I'm not an expert, just a life learner. This is less of a look at me project and is more of a come with me project. I just really wanted to put that out there once and for all. So, what is personal development? In summary, personal development, aka self-improvement, consists of activities or actions an individual takes to improve themselves in a variety of different ways. It's all about becoming a better you. That's the goal. It is the biggest investment you will ever make. Yes, it could involve money, But really, it involves investing your time, your focus. Investing in your personal development is actually priceless when I think about it, because without it, you can't sustain success in any area of your life. I mean, think about it. If we continue to do the same things that we've been doing, making the same mistakes, getting caught up in the same negative cycles, we can't possibly move forward. You must always be progressing in some way. As Tony Robbins says, progress is everything. We must always be improving. Personal development allows you to get to know yourself on a deeper level, and it teaches you how to better navigate the world around you. And if you ask me, personal development is the secret weapon. It's like your best kept secret. It's the reason you know how to negotiate a pay raise. It's the reason you can spot red flags in relationships. It's the reason you know how to self-soothe during difficult times. It's non-negotiable. It is literally everything. There are 5 main categories of personal development, and within each category, there are numerous areas that can be assessed and studied as you wish. According to my Googles, the main categories include mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and physical. In my opinion, no one category is more important than the other, and in my experience, they all kind of work together. And in order to be a well-rounded human being, it's best to spend time in each category reflecting and doing the work. Now, what is doing the work? You've probably heard people mention this phrase before. Doing the work can be reading, reflecting, it can be journaling, researching, crying, joining support groups, going to therapy, sitting still, you name it. Doing the work is being proactive in your own growth. You being here today is part of that work. To get to a point where you are seeking resources so that you can grow is worth applauding, to be honest, because that means you're capable of self-reflection, and not everybody is. You see areas of your life that you would like to improve in, and that is amazing. So, about these personal development categories. The mental category of personal development has everything to do with your mind. Go figure, right? This involves the way you think, your behaviors, the way you learn, setting goals. It has everything to do with your mind. The social category is all about improving your relationship to the world around you and how you interact with the world. Communication habits, your relationship with others, and professional development can fall under this category too. The spiritual category has a lot to do with your connection to yourself, to your spirit, soul, universe, God, whatever you like to call it, him, her, etc. If you ask me, and I'm sure some of you will agree, the spiritual category can definitely include health and wellness, depending on how you go about taking care of yourself spiritually. I would absolutely include things like meditation and yoga, which, oh my God, I love, in the spiritual category. But I do understand that everyone is different and categories may look slightly different for everyone. Let me just say that these categories are not set in stone, but I thought it would be nice to mention them so that you can get a better feel for what all personal development can include. It's a fun and expansive world for sure. But anywho, next up is the emotional category, one of my personal favorites, being that I am a pretty emotional person. This one focuses on emotions, obviously, and things like emotional maturity, conflict management, etc. Getting better at managing your emotions, oh my God, it's a game changer. And last, but certainly not least, the physical category of personal development. This category could involve growth when it comes to health and wellness internally or externally, including nutrition, exercise, overall physical health. Now that we've got that out of the way, I have 5 benefits you will miss out on big time without personal development. And there are certainly others, but I did want to give you my top 5. Number 1, your discernment improves. You need to have discernment. Discernment is the ability to judge well. Personal development improves your ability to discern good from bad, right from wrong, healthy from unhealthy. This is definitely one of my favorite benefits of becoming more evolved, more self-aware. You become better at removing things, habits, and relationships that no longer serve you. I'm sure we could all think back to a time where we didn't see how negatively something affected us until it was something we just couldn't ignore any longer. Your life was impacted in a negative way, unfortunately. So doing the work on yourself, working on developing better habits, you better know when it's time to let go of people and different circumstances in your life. Notice I said, let go. You learn when to let go. You take on a sense of power in deciding what is for you and what is not. When it comes to me, I can be honest and say that I have not always owned that power. And of course, I'm still learning, still working on this. As I said, it is a journey, but I have more times than I'd like to admit waited for other people to make the decision to stay in my life or not. That is not discerning. That is accepting whatever is provided to you, which is not great. As you progress in your journey, though, you will become so confident in your ability to discern that you will know what you want, what you need, why you need it, how to get it, who to get it from, and you'll be happy doing it. Number 2, without personal development, you will miss out on the opportunity to expand your perspective. I cannot tell you how important this is. It's up there with number 1, which is why it's number 2, obviously. Expanding your perspective is a must. Without taking the time to learn about how other people might think, why they might think the way they do, what type of different people there are in the world, mental disorders that exist even, different love languages outside of your own, and the different facets of people in this world, you will forever live in your own head with your own ideals. Only considering yourself, your emotions, your wants, and your needs, I guarantee you, every relationship you have will suffer in some way. Personal development is personal, but in order to understand yourself, you also need to understand the world around you. For example, it's not enough to consider your childhood. You also need to consider the childhood of those who raised you to a certain extent. Where did they come from? And why do you need to consider these things? Well, because it will give you more perspective. It'll actually allow you to better understand yourself and why you are the way you are. Something else to consider is, what type of household did your significant other grow up in? Now, that perspective is 100% necessary. That is absolutely a non-negotiable. Why? Well, because you will be directly affected by whatever they have to offer. Have they ever experienced love? If not, do they have any interest in learning how to show love in a healthy way? If not, you will have decisions to make, but having a broader perspective will help you make those decisions for yourself. The ability to see things from a variety of different perspectives is so important. Number 3, personal development builds your self-confidence in a major way. Your confidence can certainly be affected without it. I mean, think about it. Anytime you walked into a classroom to take a test and you've been studying your butt off for weeks, how did you feel? You probably felt more at ease. You felt ready, prepared. You weren't afraid. You didn't question yourself. But when you didn't do the studying, when you hadn't been doing the homework, what did you feel like? You probably felt nervous, unprepared, or maybe even scared. And I feel like life is the same way. When you're not doing the work, when you're not taking the time to learn more about things you don't know, to learn more about the signs of abuse in friendships or relationships, to learn how to develop a stronger presence, learning more about how to change your bad habits, etc. Chances are you're walking around unaware of how your actions affect others and how they affect you in not so great ways. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know why people behave the way they do. You don't know that manipulative tactics are being used and when. You may not even be aware of your unhealthy patterns. You have no idea. But as you continue to read, listen to podcasts, seek knowledge, and develop your sense of self, your confidence has no choice but to grow. You become more comfortable in your own body and you feel more prepared all around. And you know what? The more self-reflection you do, you start to discover which areas of your confidence could use some work, and that is so helpful. Just a little side note, I've been going to therapy for about 2 years now in total, and I have discovered that I could personally be better about being more confident when it comes to expressing my needs, knowing what I need, and trusting that I know myself best. So knowing that about myself, I now know that self-trust is an area that I can do more work in, or setting boundaries maybe, and developing more strength to say no when certain things are so clearly not in my best interest. That would increase my confidence in that area. Confidence, it's so important that we can't not have confidence in everything that we do. Number 4 is all about resilience. You could unfortunately lack resilience by skipping out on personal development. Resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, obstacles, or hard times. You may have heard the quote, "Knowledge is power," and I believe that. I also believe that applied knowledge is even more powerful. We have to make sure that we are applying the things that we learn. The truth is, we don't know what we don't know, but the more you know, the better the bounce back, the quicker the bounce back. For example, if I've learned that individuals who tear others down is not a reflection of my self-worth, but of what is going on inside of them, I can bounce back a lot quicker, right? I won't take that sadness on. I won't internalize those feelings. I would know that those are not my emotions. I won't feel bad about myself because I know that it has nothing to do with me. But if I don't know that that's what's going on and I feel bad about myself every time someone has something hurtful to say, my resilience level is low. I'm not able to keep moving. Another example is applying for jobs, maybe. If my resilience level is low, then every time I get a no or no response, I may get so down on myself because I feel like it's a reflection of my self-worth, and that's just not true. That is where personal development comes in. Resilience and the ability to get up when you've been knocked down, hurt, abandoned, broken up with, abused, or hurt in any way, shape, or form is so important. Without the ability to get up and keep moving, you'd be stuck. We must work to be more resilient so that we have the strength to continue on even when it hurts. And the last benefit that you can miss out on if you don't start on a personal development journey is number 5, becoming a leader and a role model, someone to look up to. I really want to do an episode about how thought leaders are the new influencers, but in the meantime, I will summarize what I mean by this point. What value can you provide to others? What knowledge do you have to pass on? What wisdom have you acquired so far? As you get older, you're kind of expected to know a few things, right? Leaders, role models, they are cherished because they hold this information, this knowledge that we could all use to better our own lives. Why not be that to someone else? Why not be someone to look up to? And this doesn't mean that you have to become some world-renowned spiritual leader or grow your Instagram follower count to some ridiculous number to have an impact on the world, but in your everyday life to be seen as someone who can lead, who has, as we discussed earlier, discernment, someone who has the ability to see things from a variety of different perspectives, someone who is confident in who they are and comfortable being themselves and is capable of getting back up and trying again, even when they've been knocked down, is huge. Being capable of leading others is a characteristic that will definitely set you apart. People notice a leader, you know what I mean? They just look different. They even smell different. Their vibe is just different. And that is who you want to be in your own life, at work, in your home, within your family. But to get there, personal development is key. Well, that sums up the 5 benefits that you will unfortunately miss out on without personal development. Are you convinced that self-improvement is crucial? I hope so. Before I go, I did want to leave you with a quote, and I think that this will be something that I do every episode because, who doesn't love a good quote? I do. I definitely do. The following quote is from Chinese Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the first ever episode of the Happily Self-Conscious podcast. I really, truly hope that you enjoyed it and are just as excited as I am about exploring the topic of personal development. If you aren't already, please make sure to follow me on Instagram at Miss Tyler Simone. It's a great way to stay connected with me. And let me know what you thought about the episode by leaving a quick review. Cue the outro. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to click the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. And if you see another one on the list that you think looks interesting, take a listen or just download it for later. I'll see you next time.